Today's session is going to deal with vision, mission, strategies, goals, and objectives. We just went over a statement of the problem. Once we've identified what the problem is, now we have to put it into how do we solve the problem. We solve the problem by creating a vision, mission, a strategy, goals, and objectives. So, what is a mission and what is a vision? Well, a vision talks about the end product of what you want things to be. For example, if you're a mother and you had a child that you lost in the streets of gun violence, her vision is going to be a world where young people don't have to be worried about being killed in the streets. That's the end result. The mission is the means on how she plans to bring about the vision. So her mission might be to create a place where young people can attend as a safe haven. So, and we're going to come back to this, but remember that the vision is always the end product of what you want. And the mission is the means to get there. That being said, it's two components that deal with mission and vision. When we deal with vision, we're talking about the desired result that we want to bring about. And we do that by, I'm sorry. Did someone say something?
Oh, no, that was just me clearing my throat.
Okay, and we do that by defining what our goals and what our objective is. This is the end result. So if that mother who's concerned about violence in the neighborhood, and she wants to see a community where young people are safe in the streets, so her goal might be to create a program that focuses on providing young people with a second option to the streets. A strategy is a work plan. The work plan is on how do you plan to bring about the goal. The strategy might be to bring together different partners, schools, to bring together the police department, politicians, parents, and all that as a course of action. Your goal leads to your objectives. Now, if she's talking about the goal is to work with young people, her objective might be, for example, to create a mentor program, to create an after-school program. That brings into play her tactics. And the tactics is, well, what are the steps you're going to take? Well, we're going to advertise in the paper. We're going to secure a building. We're going to do all those things necessary to bring about the objective. So I've given you a lot of information this now. Don't worry about it. I'm just showing you the bigger picture. Now we're going to break it down. So let's start with what is a vision statement, and somebody read the first paragraph.
Okay, your vision is your dream. It's what your organization believes are the ideal conditions for your community. That is how things would look if the issue important to you were completely, perfectly addressed. It might be a world without war, or a community in which all people are treated as equals, regardless of gender or racial background.
So let me ask you a question. Who was it that had an awesome vision?
MLK.
MLK. When he said, I had a dream, that's what a vision is. It's the way you want the world to be, not the way the world is now. Yeah. It's the way you want the world to be. So yeah, Dr. Martin Luther King. And when I say that, and I say it to hundreds of people, almost 99% of the time they get it. Dr. King, even white people.
Right.
Okay, let's move on. So There are certain characteristics of a vision statement that's common. For example, it should be understood. It should include something that inspires and uplifts people. You should be able to communicate it. Now, what are some objectives of a vision statement? Well, a caring community, healthy children, safe streets, safe neighborhood, every house a home, education for all. So when they say, what do you think they mean when they say their vision is safe streets and safe neighborhoods? What do you think is going on?
A lot of crime, drug dealing.
Exactly. When they say education for all, what do you think is going on?
Like poor, like education, like the inner city kids aren't getting great education.
Exactly. Again, it goes to the vision, the way you want the world to be. And when they say peace on earth, what do you think they mean?
War.
No nuclear weapons, right? And war too, but I think you get the bigger picture of what a vision is. It articulates what you want the future to look like. Okay, now we want to get to what a mission is, because that follows from the vision. Read for me the first two paragraphs.
The next piece of the puzzle is to ground your vision in practical terms. This is where developing a mission statement, the next step in the action planning process, comes in. An organization's mission statement describes what the group is going to do and why it's going to do that. For example, promoting care and caring at the end of life through coalitions and advocacy. Mission statements are similar to vision statements in that they too look at the big picture. However, they're more concrete and they are definitely more action-oriented than vision statements. Your vision statement should inspire people to dream. Your mission statement should inspire them to action.
Read that last sentence again.
Your vision statement should inspire people to dream. Your mission statement should inspire them to action, should call them to action.
Excellent. That's the difference between the two. Once you get them to say, yeah, I can buy into that vision, then you got them to move to do something. So that's where you inspire them to take action. So read the last paragraph.
You need to scroll up. Oh, you can't scroll up. Oh, right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Outcome oriented mission statements explain the fundamental outcomes your organization is working to achieve. Inclusive, while mission statements do make statements about your group's key goals, it's very important that they, and we're cut off.
Yeah, that's all we can see, Michael. That's the bottom.
Oh, okay. They say they do so broadly. That's basically what the last part of that talked about. What's most important is that it's outcome orientated.
Outcome orientated.
So
okay.
Let's move on. Now, keep in mind, we're going to come back to the statement of the problem, because a lot of our time is going to be spent on how do we get the research necessary to make an argument about the statement of the problem. But today we want to talk about concepts and strategy as an approach to actually taking the problem and putting it into an action plan. Okay, here's some examples of mission statement. Read the first two.
Promoting child health and development through a comprehensive family and community initiative to create a thriving African-American community through development of jobs, education, housing, and cultural pride.
So as you begin to think about your mission and your vision, keep in mind these examples that we've gone over in terms of vision and mission. Because at one point, we're going to talk about actually doing a focus on you creating your vision and your mission, but not now. Right now, we're going to go over concepts and ideas. Now, You got your vision. You got your mission. Now the question is, what do you do with it? How do you bring it into reality? And we do that by way of creating programs. In this case, we're going to talk about program goals. See how it goes to start from the problem to the vision,
Mm-hmm.
to the mission, and now the program.
Okay.
Okay, this is moving a little bit too fast. Okay. So, ready for me, program goals.
A goal is a broad, oh, okay. Goals should specify the results from program services and be in terms that are smarter, an acronym, that is specific, measurable, acceptable to those working to achieve the goals, realistic, timely, extending the capability of those working to achieve the goals and rewarding for them as well.
Okay, that's a lot they say, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Look at an example of what they say, or what an example of a goal is. Read this
Okay.
example of a goal.
Support at least 600 dropouts from Minneapolis high schools to obtain diplomas or equivalent levels of certification.
So it talks about it's timely. That's what this goal is. It's realistic, 600 dropouts. It's something that is you can measure, and when they measure, they say 600 people. So this right here is a good example of a goal. But we want you to develop your own goal. Goals tend to be talking about the final result of what you want to do. This person apparently, we're dealing with dropouts. So what they want to do as a goal is to support 600 dropouts. And they're Pacific in Minnesota.
Mhm.
And they're Pacific high schools. And what do they want to do? To attain diplomas or their certification. See, all of this is what we call a good goal. Or another word is SMART. It's specific, you can measure it, it meets all of those particular qualifications. But we'll get more detail into that. Talk about a goal. Read this right here for me.
A goal is a broad statement of what you wish to accomplish.
Again, this is a broad statement. That mother who lost that child, her goal is to reduce the number of young people that are dying senselessly. It's a goal. Now, in order to make it a good goal, she had to say, we want to work with 100 young people in Baltimore City by training them how to have a second choice to gun violence. And it's going to be a 12-month program. So all of that is consistent with what a good goal is.
Specific, measurable, timely. Mhm.
Oh yeah, we're gonna, by the time we finish, you're gonna understand what a goal is, what a mission is, by the time we reach the end of this presentation.
Okay.
Now let's talk about what each goal should have.
Okay. Each goal will have one or more performance measures. Additionally, each goal will have one or more strategies stating how the goal will be accomplished.
So each goal has to be followed by a performance measurement, and we're going to talk about that later. But let me ask you this question. If you could articulate to me right now, what would you say your vision is?
Honestly,
think about the vision in terms of what do you want the world to look like?
With the vision, with the program.
See, the thing is, wow, yeah, you got us thinking, Michael.
But that's what this is all about, buddy.
Right, I know,
Yeah.
and that's good. see, we're reaching these kids, we're touching them, let's say in 8th grade, you know, our goal is to see them through graduation.
Not
Number
to
one.
go, your vision.
Oh,
vision.
vision, okay.
So the end
Oh,
result.
the end result. The end result is
The
to
way the fish is gonna look when you finish.
successful adults, adults giving back, thriving in the community.
Good. That's what we mean by vision.
That's my vision.
Okay, we
Adult-
got that, buddy. Now, what's your mission? Your mission talking about how you plan to do it.
Okay. And the mission.
Just think about it. You
How
got
we plan to do it is by as EPA, Michael.
Well, what we had before, and this is where we're learning more. Our mission that we had put together, it was partnering with youth organizations and schools to provide mentorship.
Excellent, but that's gonna be your strategy.
Okay.
Okay.
So since you already identified what your vision is, then your mission is to provide access to programs and services that allow young people to reach their full potential. That's what the mission is, to create programs and projects necessary for the young people to reach that particular goal that you're trying to get them to reach. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Now see how everything flow from the
Yes.
vision, what the future looks like, to how we're going to do it. Now, in order to do that, what is at least one of your goals that you plan to bring about?
Ooh, that will be, I think that will be the number.
Think of it in terms of activities.
Oh, activities.
Okay, you got to give us 1 second, Michael. Give us a
No
second.
problem.
Uh,
And I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna kick yourself when I give you an example.
No, I know. Just give me a second. I like this because I like to think, and I know we making it harder sometimes than what it is.
That's okay.
Something that just a goal that we want them to.
I'm learning, so I won't rack my head a lot. I know a goal, like an activity that we would like them to do, like STEM,
Mhm.
to produce a technology, get them in that realm. STEM would be one.
But it has to be something that they complete, like
That- oh.
successfully complete. Okay, Michael, you can come in now.
Okay, so a goal could be to start a mentor program. A goal could be an after-school program.
Oh,
Creating
wow,
an
yeah.
after-school program. A goal can be soft skill training. All of those things can be a goal. A goal is talk about how do you plan to reach your mission and your vision.
Wow. Okay, you're right.
So that's what a goal is. But in order for a goal to be effective, it has to be what? What's the acronym for being effective?
Smart. It has to
Smarter.
be smart.
It has to be specific. For example, we plan to provide training to 100 young people in Hillsborough County within the next 12 months that are at-risk youth with training on how to think positively. See how that goes specific. It talks about the timetable. It's gonna be done within 12 months. It talks about
Right.
how many? 100. So that makes sense?
But let me
Yes.
let me ask you, Michael. I know you just gave us that off the top of your head as an example.
Right.
But with the example you just gave, how could you measure the one thing that you gave? How is that measurable? What you just gave? And I
Good.
know you-
That comes down when we get to what's called evaluation, Mr. Smart Man. We're not there yet. All right? Right
All
now,
right.
we're just talking general concept, but you're right. At some point, we have to measure it.
Right.
And that's when we get into really deep into evaluation. But right now, we just talking in terms of understanding general concepts.
Okay.
Excellent. But you 2 steps ahead of yourself.
I'm reminding you.
Okay.
700.
Now, we move over here.
Here's a reminder.
Now,
Take
read
care of
again when they
yourself.
say program goals. Read, in fact, read this whole section right here.
Okay. Program goals, a broad,
Reminder.
future-oriented statement of the desired. Goal statements, identify the specific target group and provide the what information as distinct from the how the goal will be achieved or when it will come about. Example, goal. The overall goal of the district's program is to reduce the number of former ELLs scoring level 2 on FCAT and continue to increase their level of academic achievement over time.
Okay, see how they talk about the what, the how, related to that goal. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, Michael, can you go back to that? Okay, and I'm not trying to be, but like, see how they got the overall goal of the district program is to reduce the number of former EL scoring level 2 on FCAT and continue to increase their level of academic achievement over time. Wouldn't that be better if they would have put, instead of over time, if they would have put a specific time period, like over a 6-month period or over a 12-month?
Remember when we talk about Pacific, right?
Right.
Right. Not everything I show you is going to be correct. But that's why you're taking this class, so you can see the fallacy sometimes in what people actually are doing out here.
Okay. Okay.
So you can identify the gaps. That's the whole objective. So good observation.
Okay. All right.
Right. I see you're gonna do very good in this class.
All
No,
right.
we've identified the problem. We've identified the mission. We've identified the goal. Now we go to the strategy. The strategy goes to, what is your action plan? How do you plan to do it? Okay, let's move on. And read for me this sentence right here.
What is it? This entire section. Okay, a strategy is the plan of action, method, process, or specific step taken to accomplish a goal in a strategic plan or an objective in a compact. They indicate how results will be achieved. Each goal and objective will have one or more strategy, immutable, unchangeable. It is a big picture. Look at a problem that focuses upon the entire forest and not individual trees. A long-term plan of action designed to achieve a particular goal.
If you don't get anything else out of this, it's a long-term plan of action. It's an approach. For example, based on what you're doing, your strategy would be, for example, to create a collaborative of different like-minded professional, nonprofits, faith-based, etc., that work collectively in order to solve the problem at hand. Now, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what a strategy is. How do you plan to do it? For example, what's my strategy? Well, first of all, my vision is to create a world where nonprofits are able to effectively serve their clientele. My strategy is to provide classes and online classes, in-person classes, etc. That's the strategy. So that being the case, fall back for 1 second. And I don't expect y'all to know this stuff right here I'm asking tonight anyway, but what is your strategy? Give me your strategy to bring about your goal.
we had earlier, the partnering with the youth organizations.
Exactly. Now that's when that come in. Now,
Right.
remember I told y'all earlier? Now, that's
That's
what
collaborating.
Yep.
that's what we call the strategy.
Yep.
All right, y'all, let's keep on. Okay, and this is talking about some program strategy. Read the first program strategy here.
Example program strategy 1.1, conduct high school equivalency training programs for dropouts from Minneapolis high schools. Example program strategy 1.2, provide free transportation to enrollees in the program. And example program strategy 1.3, provide subsidized childcare to enrollees in the program. A program strategy is the means or broad approach by which a program will achieve its goals.
Excellent. So this is what they break down as that program strategy. Now, what do you think is wrong? What do you think the problem is? As we begin to look at program strategy 1. What is the problem?
I think that the kids aren't going to school.
Yeah.
I would say that it's inner city kids.
Mhm.
But hold on. But what is the problem? Is looking at you right in your face.
Dropouts.
Dropout.
Dropouts, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what the problem is. But the problem, so you can see how the strategy
Mhm.
follows the problem. The problem is dropout kids. The question is, well, how are you going to help them? Well, our strategy is to conduct high school equivalency training for dropouts and distributing the school. So that becomes a strategy. Their goal was probably to reduce the number of dropouts in Minnesota. That might be their goal.
Right.
Strategy is how you plan to do it. Well, we're going to give them a test, but that's not all, because they did their homework. They say in addition to the test, they're going to give free transportation. Why do you think free transportation is important?
It's very important because that eliminates the excuse of not being able to make it to the program.
Not only that, a lot of kids are poor. They don't have transportation.
They don't have that kind of
If you
transportation.
got a program, you have to take into consideration your strategy of not only providing them with the services, but how you want to get them there.
Yep.
And you have to go to the next level. You have to provide them with what?
Childcare. Yep.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have childcare, they can't go to school. Notice how they broke down their strategy to make sure they're going to be successful.
But you know what that does also too, Michael. They did the quantitative research. See?
They did. And you know what they did?
Research.
Yes.
That means they conducted and talked to these people.
Surveys.
They sure did. They did a focus group.
Yeah,
Yes,
focus groups.
yes.
Yeah.
And you see why those two types of research that we talked about is so important. This is how they got their information, because they did a focus group. Had they not did a focus group and based on this information from, let's say, what authorities are saying, they wouldn't have the information necessary to say, well, we can provide the GED training, but how do we know they're going to get that? They were smart. They did a focus group.
Right.
So that means that when they go for a grant, they can say, both based on our research, we found that not only are the young people in need of a GED because of dropout, but they need a way to get there, and they need daycare. They did their homework.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
They did.
Okay, let's continue. So just for repetition, let's read this for me.
A strategy is the plan of action, method, process, or specific step taken to accomplish a goal in a strategic plan or an objective in a compact. They indicate how results will be achieved. Each goal and objective will have one or more strategies.
So for every goal, every objective, you have to have what?
Strategy.
A strategy.
You answer my
Excellent.
question, because
That's
that was
how
going
it
to
goes. It goes from
every goal needs a
It
strategy.
goes from the problem, the vision, the mission, the goal, the program, the strategy. Okay, we don't
Okay.
need to read this no more. I'm sorry, were you about to ask a question?
So if we say, a goal is to, if like you mentioned earlier, we grouped it up to say, to start a mentorship program, to teach soft skill training, and to create an after school program. Will we break all of those up and have a strategy for each of those?
Yes.
Or, okay,
Yeah, each one is going to have each goal is going to have an objective, and each objective is going to have a strategy.
okay, so
It's a step-by-step process of articulating to the funder how things are going to be done. From the general concept of what the world's going to look like to how we plan to make the world look like what we want to look like.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so we got the problem, the vision, the mission. We got the goal, the strategy, and now comes the objective. Read what an objective is.
Objective. Your objectives specify the outcome of your project, the end product. They are tangible. Your objective should be types of objectives. Behavioral. A human action is anticipated. Performance. A specific time frame within which a behavior will occur at an expected proficiency level is expected. Process. The manner in which something occurs in an end in itself. And product. A tangible item result.
No matter what type of objective that you might use, it's going to fall into one of these categories. Behavioral, performance, process, and product. As we get deeper and deeper into classes, we'll get more deeper and deeper into these terminology. Okay, let's go ahead and talk some more about SMART, about goals. What should goals be?
Smart.
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 Everything, goals should be smart. And guess what? Objectives should be smart also.
okay.
So smart means specific, measurable, attainable, because sometimes people come up with ideas that's all the way out. It's like
Yeah.
there's no way you're gonna attain that.
Right.
And it has to be relevant. Sometimes people come up with stuff that's so far removed from what they want to do. They might want to do an HIV/AIDS program, but the activity is how not to catch a cold. It's so irrelevant. And it must be time bound. You cannot say you're going to do something forever. You have to specify how long is it going to be done? 12 months, 6 months, and normally it's in terms of anywhere from 30 days to 12 months.
Mhm.
Although some projects might be multi-year. Okay, let's now break down what they mean by specific and only read the first specific. What do they mean?
What exactly are we going to do for whom?
That's right. What exactly are you going to do for whom? What exactly are you going to do for whom? That's the question to you.
Right.
What?
Now, what exactly are you going to do and for whom? That's the first thing that deals with specific. Well, you plan to change the lives of at-risk youth.
Right.
And you're going to do it by providing them with programs and services. That's what we mean by specific. What exactly are you trying to do and for whom? Now, read measurable.
Is it quantifiable and can we measure it?
Can you measure it? If you say we're going to help young kids within a year achieve their goals of being positive, what's wrong with that?
Okay.
You
Say that
can't measure
again,
because
Mike.
you're not saying how many.
Right,
How
right.
can
It has
we measure something if you don't give us something to measure with? That's what they mean by measure. What's the baseline, for example? Okay,
Okay.
that's the second part. Again, we talk about smart objective. We went over specific. We talked about measurable, and let's see what's next.
So in this case, with the mentorship program, going back to measurable, and writing a grant, would we say like we're trying to, let's say reach 100
Yes,
mentees?
yes. You quantify by talking about the numbers. Other than that, if you say you're going to help you, and then at the end of the year, when we get you $100,000 and you only help 2 people, we messed up. So that's why funders want to know how many people you want to help. Quantify it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they mean by that.
So 100.
Okay, let's go from here to the next one. What do they mean by attainable and achievable?
Can we get it done in the proposed time frame with the resources and support we have available?
Exactly, man. If you want to, you put a proposal and you say you want to help 1,000 young people in 12 months, and you only got $1,000 that you want to get, that's not attainable. So
Yeah,
it must be attainable.
Right.
It must be. Like somebody will say, look, we plan to do a program for the city of Tampa. Okay, well, the city of Tampa, man, that's a big location.
Yeah.
It's easy if you say a community,
A community.
or
Right.
break it down to a small area. That's attainable. As
Right.
opposed to trying to gauge a big area. Okay, so that's important. Now, let's go to the next requirement. What do they mean by relevant?
The objective. Will this objective have an effect on the desired goal or strategy?
Now, you say you want to do Advent Youth,
Yes.
but yeah, you teach them how to do jump rope.
Yeah, it's
That
not relevant.
don't make sense.
Yeah.
So, and you'll be surprised at the number of people that put stuff down that's not even relevant. That's why it's important that you do your set from your vision, your mission, all the way down to your goals and objectives.
Okay.
Okay, so let's continue. What do they mean by time bound?
When will this objective be accomplished? So a set time, like you were saying, to help 100 mentees within 12 months.
Yeah, within 12 months, correct. And then when you decide on 12 months, you want to break it down into quarters.
Quarters. Okay.
Like for the first 3 months, we plan to do this. The next 3 months on down to the last month. It's got to be time bound. It had to end at some point. Now, what is the average workshop program y'all going to do for mentor? How long is your mentor program?
We're actually wanting to do for the school, term, like the school year rather.
But then you will definitely emphasize that period of time in which you plan to carry out those particular type of activities.
Okay.
And it's like, for example, if you did something on the outside, again, you might say, well, the program is a year or maybe 6 months, but we only meet like once a week, once a month, or whatever. You have to be able to be specified the process in terms of how long does it take and when it's going to be done.
Okay.
Okay, so those are SMART objectives. Now, let's talk about what an indicator is.
Where is that? An indicator is what you will measure to obtain observable. Oh, did I go too far? Am I reading up?
You're right. Keep going.
Oh, no, I lost. Okay, I need to start over. An indicator is what you will measure to obtain observable evidence of accomplishments, changes made, or progress achieved. Indicators describe the type of data you will need to answer your evaluation questions. A SMART objective often tells you what you will measure.
Good. So it talks about your evidence to show how you're going to obtain the observable evidence of how you accomplish things. Normally, for example, how are you going to determine that you're doing what you're doing? Are you going to give the young people a test? How are you going to be able to measure your success?
That is
Michael,
good.
can I know we're moving on. Can I ask you a question? And this is really a question because as we talk, I'm learning a lot from you. Well, what we're trying to do as far as mentor young men and women, of course, we want to catch them while they're young and then they're in school. And a lot of what we're doing, we want them to be successful in school, meaning work along with their teachers and everybody. But other than like, what would you say is a good way to measure? Of course, we want to see it in school and so forth. What would you say?
Well, let's say, for example, you are working with them in school.
Right.
Let's say you're working with them because you identify them as a population of people that really need help.
Right.
So how do you help? Well, if it was a problem with poor attendance, you're going to show how you increase the attendance. If it was a problem with attitude with the teacher, you're going to show how over a period of time that attitude was changed.
Okay,
If
so
it
you're
was a problem with
saying,
self-esteem, you're going to show how you made that change and how you want to measure it.
okay, so each one of them are going to be different.
Yes,
So
each one is going to be different. Exactly.
Yes, within each case, we're to be following up like we're doing the one-on-ones.
Right.
There
We're
you
to be
go.
following
That's another indicator. You're showing how you're going to be able to monitor what you're doing and prove what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
Okay.
Good question. Okay, let's continue. We don't need to read. Yeah, read the last one.
Objectives and goals are also what's not housed, but they are smaller than a mission. Let me read that again. Okay. Objectives and goals are also what's not housed, but they are smaller than a mission.
When they say objectives and goals are what? That means they talk about, definitely how you plan to do it. I mean, they talk about what you plan to do. Whereas your mission talk about how you plan to do it. You see the difference between the two? One deal with the what you're going to do, and then one deals with the how. Like your mission talk about how you want to do it.
Okay.
You're going to bring together different partners and all this stuff. So that's the difference between a goal, an objective, and a mission. A goal and objective always talk about the what you're going to do.
Okay.
So that makes sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't even worry. The first time I read this sentence, I had to read it 3 times before I understood what they were
That's why I had to read it again. I'm like, am I?
I read this thing 3 or 4 times. I said, this don't make sense. And then I started, I said, oh, the what and the how. I got it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So excellent. All right, we don't need to do that. Read the first paragraph, and we're going to skip the next 2.
Okay. Objectives break the goal down into smaller parts that provide specific measurable actions by which the goal can be accomplished. Objectives define for our stakeholders and partners the results we expect to achieve in our program or intervention. For our program expectations to be clear, we must write clear, concise objectives.
Good. That being the case, and I lied, I want you to read this one right here as well.
Okay. The 2 general types of objectives are process and outcome. Process objectives focus on the activities to be completed in a specific time period. So
there's going to always be 2 types of objectives. One is going to be process. They talk about the process, and one is going to be outcome. Now, read this right here when they talk about process.
The example?
Yes.
Okay, example, by June 30th, 2006, provide training for 20 community health center administrators and the use of electronic medical records.
This is the process of how they plan to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Now read about outcome objectives.
Outcome objectives express the intended results or accomplishments of programs or intervention activities. They most often focus on changes in policy, a system, the environment, knowledge, attitudes, or behavior.
Now let's see if they have an outcome objective. Where we at? They don't give an example, a good example of an outcome example. So let me give an example of an outcome example versus a process. Your process objective talking about what the process is. We're going to be giving training to young people in terms of mental training. We're going to be reading them different materials. We're going to be showing them some different ways of life. That's a process. The outcome talks about what's going to happen at the end. Now these young people are going to be role models. So you see the difference between process and outcome? The process about how you're going to do it, and the outcome is the final result of what you want to produce. And I'm going to be giving some more examples of that because they don't give a good example here. I thought they wouldn't. Now, this right here, and the reason why I'm going through this, they need some of short-term, long-term, and intermediate objectives. You can read that during your leisure.
Okay.
That's why I'm going through this here. Okay, they're still talking about objectives. They talking about how objectives need to be realistic.
In the short term, the slides that you just passed, the short term objectives and long terms and intermediate.
Long terms is normally 30 days. And that's based on a 90-day program, a year-long program. So short term might be the first 90 days. In this case, they say the first year, but normally the first 30 to 90 days. And then you got your intermediate. That's how you want to make your report as to 6 months down. And then your long term is normally the year at the end of the year. So you break your goals up into short term, long term, and midterm. They call it midterm, but they call it intermediate. But you're gonna be doing your own short term, long term goals. That's why I went past it so quick, because I want you to look at that when you get this material, and then one of the test questions is going to be give me goal long, short, long. Now you say your program is going to. How long is the school season? 6 months?
Oh gosh, what's up?
So I don't know how long is school. 6 months or
10 months.
So 10 months, you're gonna break down the first 2 months all down to the last month, what you plan to do and your goals and your objectives. This particular proposal right here is done for a study on high blood pressure. And apparently it's gonna be a multi-year type of study.
Okay. So I guess when looking at these, when you're making, this might be kind of off topic. When
that's okay.
When you finalize your grant and you go back and say again, I need grant money, let's say we're in the next school year. So we'll still make the same presentation because we're still continuing. Like if new kids, whether it's new kids or the same.
Well, if it's new kids, that's a new cycle.
Oh. Okay.
Yes.
But I guess how will we know when I guess my mind is when we're saying it's the next school year and we're not sure if we're going to have the same kids or different kids or just a mixture all together. When we're presenting our or applying for a grant, when we say the same thing, our objectives and our goals wouldn't change.
No, It wouldn't change, right, Michael? We still,
No, it would be consistent. It would just be for a new cycle.
A
For
new
example,
cycle.
the
Just a new
first
cycle.
cycle of the grant is for 10 months.
right,
And then the next year, you're gonna apply for the same thing, but it's a different year.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
So
okay.
each cycle, you're gonna apply for the grant. That's
So
why I
it's-
say grants are timetable. It's not like we doing the grant for 5 years. Now, this is for the first 10 months, and then next year, another 10 months, and on like that. Because it might change. You might be doing less that next cycle. That's why you're gonna base it on your first cycle.
Okay.
But hopefully you're gonna do more. Hopefully, once you do 100, your next year, you should talk about 150.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
And we're gonna get really in depth into goals and objectives. Right now, y'all just getting a taste of it.
Right.
Okay, let me start off here. Now, they are giving an example now, from goal, strategy, to objective, to activity. Start with the program goal and stop with the activity.
Program goal to decrease risk behaviors associated with HIV infection among students within the school district. Program strategy 1, form a community partnership that advocates for HIV prevention education in schools. Objective, by February 28, 2009, convene 4 meetings of a new community partnership group for HIV prevention education in schools. Activities, create criteria for identifying partnership members, recruit the members, convene the meetings, and document the meetings.
Wow, this looks good. I like.
Do you see what I mean? Okay?
Yeah,
Do you see what I mean? See how they was able to articulate from the goal
yeah,
to the
That's
strategy, to the objective, to the activity.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
coming together.
That's
That
what
looks
we're
good.
talking about. That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about, folks.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, you're gonna be thinking differently. Wait,
Yes.
the people not even gonna understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Michael. I'm telling you, I was not thinking like that before. So that looks clean. That looks clear. That looks specific.
Very
That
clear.
looks yes. That
And
looks
see,
good.
first it was crazy because you was just getting this information. And you
Right.
wasn't able to put it together. That's why I
Right.
saved this to the end. Now you can put it all together.
Yeah.
Okay. program strategy.
Excellent. So let me pause here